Hi, good evening. Welcome to Barmy Army podcast. This evening, I'm joined by Ian. Ian, how are you doing?
Brilliant, thank you, Debs. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad at all, thank you. And I'm very pleased to see the return, for me anyway, while host, of Dave. Dave, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad. Things are looking up, so yeah, all good.
Good stuff. Good to know things are looking up for you, because unfortunately we might start off this podcast on a slight negative note. We're going to have to pay some attention to the Reading game. Then we're going to have a look forward to the City game. And in between, we might have a discussion about anything and everything. We've already had a discussion about refs, so they're a standard. We've had a discussion already about games being called off and whatever else comes up in there. Good evening, John. Anybody who wants to throw a comment in, by all means, please do. So, good evening. Thank you, John, and good evening, Karen, as well. Dave, last Sunday, in some ways, we probably don't want to dwell on it, but I'm sure Casey will try and take the positives from it. Looking at it as an isolated game, what went wrong?
There's a couple of things for me. First of all, the first goal, I think Mary was at fault. I like Mary. I think a distribution I've moaned out in the past, but she has got better at it. This, she just didn't command her area. There was a few United players around her where they were like marking their own keeper. She doesn't seem to move when the ball comes across. The ball goes to flicks onto the back post, and then she stands there with her hand in the air as if to say, I've been fouled or it's offside. She didn't seem to try and go for the ball at all. And I just think after that, the free kick for the second goal was just poor defending. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter have a go at Tooney for not passing to Christian Press, which I can understand, but I'm not being funny, but how many times did Christian Press have a shot? And what did she end up doing with it? Skying it, putting it wide, tame shot, what the keeper can stop with her feet. So I can understand Tooney after a while going, actually, I'm gonna try and do something with it. It was just one of them games where we didn't seem to click as a team. The defense was poor, which I think it's been great all season, but this game we were poor, and it's probably one as bad as the Brighton game when we drew when we went away. It adds that kind of feel to it where the team just didn't look up for it, but they just didn't connect with each other, and it just didn't seem to work.
Yeah, I think bearing in mind that we've had a defeat before this well, certainly last month. The Chelsea game for me felt frustrating. This just felt disappointing. That was my sense of it. And what you say about the first goal, I think the defending just. I know you're looking at Mary, but I don't think that ball should be getting past the near post. There was a chance for us to clear it. Ian, sorry, before I come to you, Ian, at one point we had we had two Johns and two Karens. So good evening to them. Good evening also to Anthony. Ian, what went wrong?
The first goal, as you just said, it shouldn't even got past the front post. Honor had a chance to clear it, and for some reason she's ducked underneath it. I don't know if she was trying to flick it on with the back of her head and just try and clear out of the box like that and just missed it. But in those cases, I was always taught when I did play a little bit of defence before I moved into goal was to take it, put it back where it came from if necessary. Don't try and do anything stupid with it. Just get rid of it. Get the ball out of the box. So, and then the second goal was just shocking defending. Nobody's picking up the Reading player who had a free header, and Carter's not going to miss from 6 yards. Actually, just isn't. But I just didn't think we were at it at all. Again, passing seemed to be poor. There was a lot of balls going out of play. The really frustrating thing is though, if we took our chances in the Tooney's hit the post in the first half. If that goes in, it's 1-0. Leah had a really good, had a good effort saved early in the second half, and Honor had a good effort chipped around the post. So theoretically, before Reading even scored, we could have been 3 up and playing crap, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah.
So, but once we were 2-0 down and we were chasing the game, Reading all they had to do is put 10 players behind the ball and frustrate us, and that's what they did.
Yeah, and actually, I think in the midst of it all, we forget that we did have some good chances. We did have let's be honest, chances we should have scored from, but our not being clinical has come back to bite us against a team that are quite happy to just play that physical game that they were happy they'd have come for a draw. Quite happily they'd have taken a draw, but they were ecstatic to come away with 3 points. And I think there was naivety in our performance. We just didn't. We knew what they were going to bring. We talked about it how many weeks in advance. We know what Reading do. We know what they did to us at their place not so long ago. Really naive, and that inexperience may just have come back to bite us. So Fiona, I'll go back to that. Fiona said we just didn't turn up. Don't think we can really argue with that. As you say, Ian, yes, we had chances, but we weren't playing great. John Fry, just a bad day at the office. We need a positive response on Friday. Yeah. Also says, as a defender, was always told just to get rid of the ball, no mucking about with it. Much as you've said there, Ian. Karen, just a poor showing from the whole team. Fiona makes a point here. If they were down to 10 players, it could have been different. Emma Mitchell certainly was culpable of, I would say, at least one foul before she was booked that she should have been booked for. Mark then says, was always going to be physical. They tried to stop us playing, and they succeeded, as well as us just not getting to grips with it. And a very good evening to Jake. So, do you also think, Dave, did the players, bearing in mind that this fixture has come in the middle of a run, let's take the Birmingham game out. So you've got Chelsea away, Everton away, where, okay, maybe Everton aren't competing with us for Europe Champions League, but there's Needle and there's been issues with those games, and we know it's not an easy place to go. So you got Chelsea away, Everton away, City away. Did the team just go, yeah, Reading at home, not a problem? Because I remember last week on the podcast, some people were saying, I'd worry about Reading, but we're at home, so we should be okay. Did the players also do the same thing?
You'd hope not, because I don't think that's the kind of thing Casey would allow. You know, she takes every game as it comes along, and she'd have drilled that into him in the training sessions that this game, never mind City next week, we need to get 3 points.
Yeah.
So you'd hope not. Maybe some of the players individually did, but I don't think as a whole. I don't know. Maybe one of the issues could have been obviously the new player playing at right back. Is she settled in yet? Does she know? You know, I saw an interview with her where she said she didn't know any of the players. You know, she's only just met them coming to the club. Have they got a connection yet? And to be fair to Kirsty Smith, when she's been playing, she has been bombing down that right and looked good with it. So maybe the defence were maybe keeping an eye on her. It kind of reminded me in a way of. I don't think she had too bad of a game, but it reminded me of when Evra first came and played against City, where the players were kind of keeping an eye on him. Don't get me wrong, Evra was terrible that game. I don't think Maria was that bad, but it's similar instances where maybe they were covering her just to get her into the style of play. That wasn't the fault of why we lost though. We lost because as a team we were terrible. But I'm quite worried now about City. Like you mentioned, they might have the minds on the City game, and then this was just supposed to be a game where we won. But I think on our best day, we were struggling against City. So the fact that if we play anywhere near that level, or even not at our best, we're gonna in for a thrashing. I think unless we really, really turn up and exceed our expectations, I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're going to need a heck of a performance on Friday. Ian, as our resident ref. Then number 3, this is Emma Mitchell, did 3 bad fouls and only got booked in the 85th minute. I'll come back to that, because Jake then says Reading were great in defence. We can only wonder what being a player light would have done. Ian, what did you make of some of those challenges? Because from where we were sitting, certainly on the watch along, there was a consensus of opinion that said it should not have taken until the 85th minute or whatever to get booked.
No, and the booking in the 85th minute was done on totting up. It wasn't done on the foul that she did. It was done on totting up. So, but I was surprised she didn't get carded for the first challenge. I'll be honest. So she would still have been on the pitch. You know, we wouldn't have been down to 10 men or down to 10 players at that time. But yeah, the card when she finally got it was for totting up. You know, so it's her third offence. So it's, you know, that is one thing we are doing. You know, it could be anything. You just do a little niggly foul, but because it's your third one in the game and you're starting to get on the referee's nerves, they'll book you. But the one thing I've always said, male referees in the women's game are significantly less card happy than a female referee in the women's game. You will see more cards from a female referee in the women's game than you will see from a man. And that's just because the men don't think the women are as bad, you know, when it comes to challenges. You know, they just treat it like, oh, you know, this is something that it's nothing. You know, the fouls aren't as bad in the women's game or something along those lines. I don't know why. I just seen that if that had been Rebecca Welsh or whoever in charge of that, I would have thought Mitchell would have been in the book well before then.
Okay. We did actually say in the watch along, Mark's reminded me. Sorry, no, wrong comment, it's jumped up. We said in the watch along, we joked actually. I think somebody said, what does it take for the ref to give out a booking? And I think I shouted out for it to be a United player. And as it came to pass, because until then, the cards were staying in the ref's pocket. Jess gets booked for winning the ball. Jonathan makes the point here. That result was the ladies' version of the men's Sheffield United result. It's been coming for a few weeks, but they need to get back on the horse. Yeah, I think we can see that sometimes, you know, we've all watched the men for long enough to know that they scrape by and then get a bad result. But then it's very often, certainly if we go back in time, not so much recently, that's often been a real spur for them to go on a run. We can only hope, obviously, that that's what happens. John makes the point here, Ian. I don't know if you want to come back on it. To me, a bad tackle should be punished after the first, not the third. But you're saying that the first tackle wasn't enough for a booking? It was only the totting up process.
Personally, I would have probably carded the first one to put a marker on the game, saying, "Look, this is where I'm going to speak." The thing is, though, the referee's a game manager as well. He or she sets the, they set the feeling for the game. That challenge, I would have carded myself. I would have brought out a yellow card to that, and that says, "Look, that's the marker for the game." So everybody would know where you're coming from. Whereas in this case, the referee didn't punish it. So if someone else did something similar, he can't then punish that either, which is why it got to the stage where she committed 2 more fouls, which weren't card worthy on their own. But because it's her third of the game, the referee is, we have to, you do have the persistent fouling aspect of the law, which is what she ended up getting carded for. Because the third challenge was nothing really, if we're honest.
Yeah, that's the irony. Dave, do you remember the game at their place when they should have had one of theirs sent off for a foul on Leah that should have also been a penalty, I think?
Yeah, I do remember that. But going back to the game, all right, say that they did give her a booking for the first challenge, and then she ended up getting a yellow after another 3 more challenges. What would have been the 82-something minute? Would that really have affected the game? We weren't good, like I say, weren't good enough to win. We were already 2-0 down at that point. So I think, yeah, maybe you can moan about the not getting a booking, but it didn't really affect the game. If it was, what would have affected the game if we turned up?
Yep.
But I mean, I've been angry at other decisions against Reading. I mean, that was nothing to. I didn't afterwards think, oh, it's the ref's fault. I was thinking it was just poor. I mean, the handball incident for the penalty away. That was when it went away thinking the rest cost us the game.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not saying not bothered, but there's bigger issues than the referee.
Okay. Mark says here, Reading are our bogey team, always struggled against them. Jake has then said, is it just him that's noticed we had a dip in form around the same point last season, around January, February time? Well, we didn't start January very well last time, did we? Dave, sorry, you're going to come in with something there.
Yeah, well, I think he's right. I think it's all the players going home. You don't get it with the men's game where there's a winter break kind of thing and everyone goes home. You see it with the 23s and 18s sometimes as well, where they do come back from the the Christmas New Year break and they're not as sharp as they once were, and maybe that is a factor to it. I mean, luckily the 18s and 23s have done all right coming back from Christmas, but yeah, there is a possibility because some players are going home abroad as well. It's not like it's just down the road. Yeah, I think that could be a factor.
Okay.
I was going to say,
and also,
yeah.
Ian, go.
No, I was just going to say, I'm just thinking, I'm remembering the dip. We lost to Bristol. We then scraped past Brighton in the Conti. And let's be honest, they had a chance to equalise.
Well, they had 2 penalties, didn't they?
Yeah. They could have easily got that back to 2-2. We then played Spurs, which we beat Spurs quite easily. We always seem to have no issue against Spurs. But then we did that City game.
I don't remember that Spurs game being so easy because actually we ended up needing, because that was the Foggy game.
That's the Foggy game, yeah.
That was the game where we actually ended up with a penalty to break what was a 0-0 at the time. And it was such a strange decision that if you watch it back, if you can see it, I think it was for a foul on Abby Mack, but one of our players almost shouts at the ref as if to say, how dare you do? Oh, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll take that. So maybe we got a bit lucky against Spurs to break the deadlock. Okay.
Yeah, possibly. But then we played City in the Cup and obviously lost. Then we played Chelsea in the...
We didn't lose against City. It was a 3-3 draw.
No, because it was the FA Cup. We lost 3-2. Oh, yeah, true. No. Yes, I see your point.
No, it was 3-3, Ian. Come on.
3-3, yes.
Cross the line, Ian. Come on.
Sorry. Come on. Then we lost to Chelsea. Then we played Reading and drew 1-1, which was that.
Should have had that game out of sight by then.
Yeah. Then we did the Brighton away game, which was that Wednesday night down here, which was, again, we score after a minute and then we're cracked for the 89. Then we got back on our horse against Everton, and then the season stopped.
And this was why I asked the question. I don't know if I asked it in a social or in a watch long or whatever. Were we fortunate that the season got pulled when it did, in as much as had it carried on naturally, we wouldn't have stayed in 4th. That's a conversation for another day. But that was about our form at the time. John Neville says, lost all our momentum that we built up before Christmas. For old time's sake, Jake just wants us all to remember who scored the winner in that Conti Cup game against Brighton. Okay. Yeah. Can't remember. No. Nobody springs to mind.
You've lost me.
No, I don't think it's anybody who's anywhere near the first team right now, is it? Jake reminds us that it's our 100% win rate captain. Yes. Number 13, unlucky for some. Yeah, anyway. So we're coming off a really bad performance and result. I think it's one of those, had we got to win, we obviously wouldn't have focused so much on the performance. Would have just said, like, I know, Dave, we would have done, but we'd have just been grateful for the result.
Well, I just think with the game that's coming up next, we would have done, because if we'd have won that game 2-0 with that performance, I think we'd have looked at the City game and think we're going to be screwed here. I think the 2-0 getting beat could be a bit of a favour. It could be a wake-up call to some of the players.
This was the point I raised on fan cams. And I said, are we actually, if we're trying to find a positive, is this result going to be a real spur for us, for some of the players to prove themselves? Because let's not kid ourselves, that's the City team in better form than when we played them, certainly in the league, first time round. And that first half, we were poor, they were good. They're better now. We've probably dropped off a level. We're missing players as well. So what do we make of it, Ian? What are you thinking about on Friday?
It's going to be tough. It really is. The one thing we do know is that City defence that can leak goals.
Mm.
The issue we obviously have is taking our chances. But going forward, that City team is a hell of a lot better than it was earlier in the season. I've watched parts of the game at the weekend, and City do look like a team that are starting to click.
Yeah.
And as Dave said earlier, if we don't turn up, we could be on a hiding. But the good thing is, the result on Sunday is a wake up, and I'm sure Casey's been drilling it into them all week. What this game on Friday night is all about. So I expect a reaction.
Yes.
If we don't get a reaction, then something is seriously wrong.
Something's wrong.
But I expect a reaction. But I'm I would normally always go into a game thinking, yeah, we can win this. I would be happy if we can come out with a point. I'll say it now. I
think a lot of people would agree with you. John Fry says we need all 11 to turn up for this game. Jake, he said it on Sunday, after any defeat this season, no, you've also got the Conte, haven't you? We've always had lower opposition to bounce back against. This is different. We're playing against the best team in the league, form-wise. He then goes on to say he'd take another 0-0. I'm just going to put this comment up because somebody's getting a bit obsessed. Did we miss Kirsty Smith? I have to say, I think we've got a new competitor for the Kirsty Smith fan club. Dave, should we humour him? Did we miss Kirsty Smith?
Yeah, like I said, possibly. I think they were keeping an eye on Maria. I think I did her a bit of a disservice by comparing it to Evra, but you get the sense what I meant. The players were kind of looking after her. Yeah, I think Kirsty would have been bombing down that wing more often. I think a few balls would have gone in. It is what it is. There's injuries. I think that we've got a bigger problem having Toby missing, to be honest. I think if she would have been playing, it'd have been a massive difference. And if she was fit, I'd been confident going into the City game thinking, yeah, we can get something from this. But the fact that she's out, it's, put a dampener on it for me. And with Iain, just if we can get a draw, I'll be super happy with that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those right now. If somebody offered you a point, I know I'm taking it. Jake says that Mark makes a good point. He'd like to have, and here's another interesting one, Maria alongside Kirsty, but putting Maria in the middle. So we can have a consideration about who should get dropped from centre. Yeah, okay. John Fry, yeah, point we've noted, Kirsty Smith wasn't named in the latest Scotland squad, which unfortunately seems to give the suggestion that she might have a slightly more long-term injury than we had hoped. Apparently Arsenal are all over Chelsea at the moment. Still 0-0. Cheers, Jeff. Bigger loss for you then, Dave. I'm going to come back to you on that. You'll take a point right now because you mentioned Tobin. Tobin's out, Russo's out, LJ's out. Who's the biggest loss of those three?
Oof. As all round, you'd probably say Tobin because what difference she's made to us this season. But I think Russo because she offers us something completely different, where she's pacey, centre forward that's got pace, kind of like Jess was in the Championship. Yeah. She reminds me of that, where you can just do a long ball and she'll be onto it and do something with it. LJ is obviously a massive miss because LJ is LJ. We all know what she's about. But they're all different type of players, so it's just less options for Casey, and this is the problem. I mean, at the moment, I don't know what you do at the front. I mean, obviously playing press. She started the last game, but for me, I don't think she did. She's done enough in the last game to keep her place for the next game. It's a tough one for Casey. I mean, I won't want to do it, so good luck to her.
That's why she gets paid the supposed big. Well, she should get paid the big bucks. Mark says Russo is the bigger miss. Jonathan says Tobin by a country mile. John Fry, Russo for her goal threat. Iain, who's the biggest miss? Biggest loss for us?
At the moment, I think it's probably Tobin for how she motivates the group on the pitch. You know, look what happened in the City game in the league when we're 2-0 down. She scores that rocket, and suddenly we looked a completely different team.
Yeah.
From a goal out of nothing. So we do miss her leadership on the pitch. I'm not digging at Katie's, leadership as the captain, but Tobin is someone who has so much experience that, so that's something that Katie and all the other girls will get in time. We have to remember how young our squad is. It's not like, we don't have, look at some of the teams where you got, City, you've got Ellen White, you've got, you did have Jill Scott before she went off on loan, Steph Horton, obviously. There's a lot of experience in that City side. You look at our team, they're kids. Some of them are only just gone into their 20s. Some of them are still in their teens. Look at so the experience factor of a Tobin, I think, is what we miss more at the moment. But yeah, we do miss Alessia for a goal threat. We've seen what she did. Her movements, the goal at West Ham, that really good header. I don't know if we scored many headers this season, apart from that one. I can't remember many, if I'm honest.
Millie's got a couple of corners. Well,
yes,
Millie's got a couple.
But yeah, so for me, it's Tobin. We miss Tobin, and obviously we're not going to see her possibly until May. So how quickly she returns. Yeah. So we're hoping we'll have Alessia back after the international break. Obviously, so our next game after this is what, March 3rd or something?
I want to say March the 7th. That's just a random.
Yes, March 7th. Yeah, against Villa. Depending.
Yeah, I know them for dates. I've got to put the flags up beforehand. That's why.
And obviously, somewhere along the lines, FA Cup games are going to go in. So, because obviously, officially, the first weekend back after the international break is meant to be FA Cup, but obviously, tournament's on hold, so that weekend's currently free. So,
yeah, FA Cup. Just give it to City. That's what they want. Anthony reminds me, Hayley Ladd got a header against Reading. Karen says that Tobin is the biggest loss. John says that we can't seem to keep our forward players fit at the moment. And unfortunately, we're talking long-term injuries. Jake says that one of our three best sources of goals are out. He's worried. Unless we can clone Leah and have three Leah Galtons up front, what hope do we have? Come on, Jake, be positive. He then goes on to say, fingers crossed Kristen puts on a big performance. Yeah, but also needs service. Go on, Dave.
I do think she needs to show us what she's capable of. She's clearly an immense talent, and from what you see in internationals, obviously I've only seen her in World Cups, and she looks amazing. Same as Tobin, really, but she's not seemed to click as much as Tobin has when coming here. You can see the position she does get in. She knows about the position of strikers and going forward and where to score goals from, but he does not seem to be coming off for her. I mean, like last game, like I mentioned, some of her shots were terrible. I mean, that's being kind. And she has done that in a few games. Obviously, she's got a couple of goals. I thought as well against Everton, she had a few chances where she could have put us a better scoreline, and she fluffed them. But obviously, she did get a goal for us. I just think if she gets a game where she gets a couple of goals, I think her confidence will be up, and I think that'll be it. But it does not seem to happen at the moment.
I would love to. I'll take one of her little moldies now on Friday night. One of her 25 yard just effort, hardly raises a foot and just bends one into a top corner. I'll take that right now.
And Jake would tell you, Ian, that he'd take it as a 95th minute winner.
No, I can't do doing that.
Although if it's a case of 0-0 or that,
I'll take that. Yeah,
I think. Yeah, with Tobin and Kristen, they've obviously got to be ready to play at different stages and at different levels. So Tobin obviously was the one who featured first and was on the pitch for more minutes and just looked like she was getting to the pace of the game quicker. Whereas Kristen's taken longer, and she's spoken of how challenging she's found it and been really honest. I thought that first half against Everton was the liveliest she's looked. But you're right, there's still a lot of chances that she's not taken, she's fluffed, and we would have hoped and expected more from. She's obviously benefited, I think, as well from Russo being injured, because I don't think she's getting as much game time if Alessia Russo's fit. And I think it's a done deal that if Russo's fit, she would have started on Friday. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, and I think yeah, you're right, and I think she'd start against City as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that the way she plays right now suits us better, and it would suit us against City. Jake comes back in to say he'll take a very scrappy shot that takes about 5 deflections and spins past Roebuck. He just wants a goal at this point. Do you know what, Jake?
Jackie's then.
I was going to say, but the shot that takes 5 deflections and comes off somebody's backside is Jackie's goal. Remember that. Every week on the watch-alongs, we sit there and go, this is Jackie's goal. It's coming off a backside. Absolutely.
Speaking of Jackie, Kristen's season is a bit like Jackie last season.
Kristen scored.
Yes, okay, Kristen scored. But when it comes to what was it kind of expected, or what was what we were thinking, if we did keep Kristen for next season, big if, huge if, we could see the Kristen you see at the US National, because she would have got used to the league. She would have had a proper pre-season, because obviously they didn't really have a pre-season, because obviously they were in quarantine for 2 weeks, and then basically got up to speed in general training sessions rather than having a fitness-oriented pre-season and getting them in. So if we did keep Kristen next season, could be interesting to see what type of player we have next season rather than compared to this.
You know, Ian, I'm always loath to say this because of your referee leanings, but you've actually made a really good point, and I get that maybe next year, if we get to keep Kristen and Tobin, maybe next year with a full pre-season, with having more time to get to know the players, with having more time to get to know the formations and just the way the games go in this country, because that's another thing she's spoken about, might do.
And
Jake comes back and saying nothing against Kristen, but she's got no real competition at the moment. Absolutely, and this is something we talked about last year. Here's a question for you, Dave. Do you think we might do the old Mourinho and park the bus on Friday? Can we?
I was going to say, do we have a bus to park? If we park a bus, surely we'll be getting corners and crosses coming in a lot, and that's what we conceded against Reading. So that's not going to work. No, I think we're going to have to go for it. I think that's the only way to beat them is go for it, because if we get 2 early goals or something like that, I think it'll shock City, and we defended it after that. But I don't know, if we just sit back and let them come to us and defend, it's going to end in tears. But I'm agreeing with what you said before about 95th minute winner, because unfortunately I can't watch the game because I've got to watch the under-23s. So I'd like the under-23s to finish, switch over, 90th minute, and then there we go.
There you go, Jake. There's another vote for your 95th minute winner. I can imagine that would be a little bit chaotic in the watch along. Jake says, we know we can counter-attack really well. Might be worth a try sitting back. I've got to tell you, the way we defended on Sunday, I don't want to take that chance, because I just don't think we can do that against a team of. Look, maybe I'm being a pessimist now. I like to think I'm a realist. We need City to be a little bit at least off their game on Friday. And we need to be fully on ours for 90 minutes to get anything out of this game. Their level right now is superior to us. That's a fact. Okay? I know some people say, no, we're United. Yeah, I know, but let's be honest here. John Neville talking about 95th minute winner. Imagine the scenes. Do you know what would be even better? if it is that Jackie goal. We wouldn't know what to celebrate more, a winner against City or Jackie scoring.
Well, it's never going to happen now because Jackie can't score.
No, I know, but it's going to have to come off a backside. We say this every time. For Jackie to score, it's going to have to hit her head, come off somewhere else, off a backside, and she won't know anything about it.
So
or
a dubious goals panel goal.
Yeah, probably when
Yeah,
they take it away.
I'll take one of them. Yeah, I'll take one of them.
Yeah.
The thing is, the one thing we do know is if you do press City, there are mistakes in that back four.
But that's the thing. And do we have the players to press them? Do we have the players fit and in form to press them? Mr. Positive says, being negative as usual. He is very negative. He doesn't see us scoring on Friday. Oh, I so hope they score just so I can send him a message saying, ha, 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 ha.
I just think our biggest issue, and it's going to be awful if it's true, is our ex-player playing left back, who's probably one of the best people to whip a ball into the box in the league. And if we have defending like I say the last game, and she's whipping balls in from corners, from crosses, we're going to be in real trouble, I think, because seeing her this season, her distribution into the box has been, something that we've kind of missed. And obviously City are benefiting from it, but if we don't defend well with that, we're going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, I think there's more about how we defend than how we attack in a way on Friday. We know what they're going to bring. We know what they're going to do. We've seen them do it. They've done it for a long time. And this is one of those things that I think, as much as we're aiming to be up there with them, what we're doing at this stage of our development, they've been doing for so much longer. Iain, you talked about their experience, but also that intensity to do it every single match. They're doing it. I know they've had some funny results, but you feel more confident. Dave, Jake wants to say she can do us a favour again. He hopes. I don't think we get a penalty shootout in this game, Jake.
A pointless shootout. Yeah, I can't see that happening.
Yeah, we can always clutch at straws, I suppose. Oh, Nats mate scored Brighton tonight. They're 1-0 up against West Ham.
Brighton just scored,
Yeah. Well done to them. And that was a strange result as well, the Chelsea result. Because
didn't see that coming.
No, the run that Chelsea are on. Hey, maybe in a way that fires up. Yeah, actually, this is a question that's been asked on Twitter quite a lot this week. If you have a choice, bearing in mind Chelsea are playing Arsenal tonight, we are competing for a Champions League place with Chelsea, Arsenal, and City. 3 out of 4 will get Champions League. Bearing that in mind, Iain, what result would you prefer tonight?
A draw.
Okay, Dave.
A 0-0 draw.
Yeah, something that any draw is what I would be happy with.
If there has to be a win, who'd you go with, Iain?
People aren't going to like me for this, but I would take a Chelsea win because I still think it's their title to throw away with their game in hand, and anything that keeps the gap between the Manchester clubs and Arsenal is good for Champions League. So if we do slip up, if we do lose to Arsenal, a loss to Arsenal doesn't mean we lose our place in the top 3.
Iain, I'm with you for the same reasons, but I'm a pessimist. Dave, if somebody has to win tonight, you prefer Chelsea? Okay.
Yeah, I think if we're going to get in the Champions League spot, the other 2 teams are going to be City and Chelsea. So it's between us. I think between us and Arsenal for the other spot. So
because a lot of people said they want an Arsenal win, and I cannot see where that helps us out in any way. Because it'd be great if we won the title. Let's be honest. we're a long way, I think, off that this season. Jake does go to say, though, that you shouldn't underestimate anyone in this league. He was guilty of that on Sunday. I think we all were. John Fry says, Chelsea win. Jake says he'll take a Chelsea win. Anthony says a draw or a Chelsea win. Arsenal still have a game in hand or 2 games. Good evening, Matt. Sean's made a point before it disappears off my screen. Siggy up front on Friday, anybody? Ian?
Yeah, possibly.
Very convincing.
I can see the point that Sean's trying to make, because she does have power, she does have pace that will scare Steph, if we're honest. But I honestly don't see Casey doing that.
According to Jake, we're all Chelsea fans tonight. Come on, Sam Kerr. Got no chance then, really, have we, Jake? Dave, who's your strike? Who's playing up front for you on Friday?
I would go with wrong way that way. I would go with Jess. Actually, she's not really been given much of a chance up front. I mean, it's a game where with the underdogs, no matter what, why not just throw all our cards on the table and just say give it a go? Why not even play both of them up front? Never mind sticking Jess on the right or something like that. Play Kristen and Jess as a 2 up front. That might be something that's worthwhile. But yeah, I would like to see Jess. I think she'd be up for it as well. For, City. Yeah. I think she'd be really up for trying to get a goal or 2 or 3, hopefully. But yeah, I don't see any reason why not to play her, because I mean, what's the alternative? Like it's Jane Ross, who we know she's not really done it for us at United. Kristen Press not done it really for us at the moment. She obviously scored a couple of goals, but she's not look like that striker. So Jess has been proven in the past that it's been against lower opposition, but we know she can score goals. So wearing the number 9 shirt, so why not do it?
You'll be pleased to know, Dave, Jake agrees with you. He said for ages we should experiment with a front 2. Having said that, he then says Siggy off the bench and down the middle. Good option when the defence is tiring. I think there were a few people certainly on the watch along that were a bit frustrated that Jess got put on the right when she came on Sunday. We would have liked to have seen her down the middle. Ian,
to be fair, though, last season, the couple of opportunities she did have down the middle, because she was put on the right when she played, she looked good down the middle. She just didn't really have much time there. So for me, it is. I can see people getting frustrated with it. I see Jess getting frustrated with it as well.
Yeah. Ian? Or should we throw a spanner in the works and have Fuso?
Fuso is still getting used to the English game, I think. So starting her in a game of this nature, I think would be unfair on her.
Okay.
I still think she could do something off the bench. If you're going to blood her with a start, there are games for that. Maybe a Villa, maybe a Bristol. A game like that would probably be an ideal game for her to start. Whereas, Jess through the middle will cause someone like Steph issues, because Jess will press someone like Steph, and we know Steph will make a mistake. We all know that Steph has mistakes in her, and someone like Jess could and easily get that sort of mistake, get the ball off and get away from her. So yeah, Jess through the middle is I would not have an issue with Jess starting through the middle at all. But yeah, 4-4-2 in this game kind of makes sense to me. But I can't remember the last time we played a 4-4-2. I think we've played 4 at the back with a holding. We played 4 at the back with a holding midfielder, 4 at the back with 2 holding midfielders. Looking the game at Arsenal in the Conti Cup in our first season. But I can't ever remember us playing a traditional 4-4-2. So I can't see it being done on Friday, because it'd be a brand new setup. Which, again, why would you play a brand new formation in a game like a derby when you've not? It would make no sense. So we'll stick with our 4-3-3. But no, I would like to see 2 up top. Kristen and Jess together, or in the future, Kristen with Alessia. That's got a good chance of causing issues.
Karen makes the
I
point
do think.
here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it might tap into what you're trying to say, Dave, that she'd like to see press on the wing and maybe Jess down the middle. Let press feed the ball in. I'm wondering whether that's where we've got to use Kristen more. Certainly when Alessia is back in the pit. Dave?
I don't think in this game, I won't be surprised if we play a 3 at the back this game. You know, Maria's obviously a centre-back, really. And then you're going to have maybe Ono on the right, and then you play Leah as a wing-back.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what she'll go for because of City's attacking force, where obviously the Turners, we know what the Turners can do, and then have an extra centre back in there. Well, I think we did it last season with Abby. I can't remember what game it was, or was it? But we did have a 3 at the back at one point. So I can see that happening, but that would obviously miss. We wouldn't have the 2 up front, but you could still play Jess up there. I just can see. I've just got a feeling it's going to be 3 at the back because we're worried about conceding.
Yeah, I think the fear of what's coming at us is almost more than what we're not doing going forward. John Neville agrees with you, Dave. John Fry says, "Can you see Leah at left back again?" And then press on the left, Hansen on the right, Jess up front. I suppose it would be one way of including everybody, because if we're saying Leah plays on the left, that's a done deal. It's Hansen or Press for me on the right, if we're trying to accommodate someone that's not Kristen Press as a striker. But I just think we're talking 3 up front, we're talking Leah on the left, Hansen on the right, and Press up front. Ian, who's your front 3? If it's a 3, of course. Dave's suggesting a 3 at the back. We might not be talking a front 3.
If we're playing 3 up, got to have Leah on the left. I know she's, last week she wasn't at her best, but I thought she had a good game against Everton. Wasn't stellar, but she caused issues. She created the first goal, and she did have a couple of really good runs in that first half. Obviously, in the second half, by the sounds of it, we were against the wind, and it was like a containing job, which they did. So I would have Leah on the left. The right, I would start Kirsty, and if I had to put someone in the middle at the moment, I would stay with Kristen for now because she's got big matches. She's got the experience, and we will need someone with some sort of experience in the game on Friday night. But if we did play, 3 at the back with wing backs, I would then play. I would probably then go with Jess up top on her own. And drop Kristen into, say, central midfield, and then drop. I'd probably take Katie out.
But just have Haley and Casey there. Haley and Kristen there.
Yeah, or maybe a Jackie and Kristen. I don't know. Something a little different, because Katie hasn't been on the best of form of late. She had a couple of good balls against Everton. There was a couple of good balls in the game at Reading, but otherwise there wasn't a lot from. She's been very, very quiet, and I don't know why. Because we've seen what she did do last season. We saw what she could do in the Championship season. It's just I don't know if her getting COVID has affected her season at all. Only she could tell you that. We don't know how she is. She's not really had an interview. We've not really heard from her. There's not been an interview. There's not been nothing like that. So we've not really heard from her. But yeah, I do like the idea of going 3 at the back with wing backs on Friday. I do like that idea.
I think the more you talk about it, Ian, the more you're convincing yourself that's the way you want to go. Sean says Leah needs to be up front to keep Lucy Bronze back. And then Jake says, the action on the wings will be important. Honor needs to win that battle against Stanway or whoever they put on the wing this time. I think it's worth giving credit to Honor, because I think in the first half against City, first time around, I think it was, she had an absolute nightmare against Georgia Stanway and looked an absolute shadow of the player we knew she could be. Came back in the second half, played a lot better. So credit to her. We know they've got potential game winners all over the pitch. So yeah, the wings could be interesting. And I trust our wingers to get back, and I trust our fullbacks. But again, like Dave's saying, maybe we're looking at a change in formation. Dave, can you see Casey going for it though? She tends to like to stick to what she knows and what she's used before.
Yeah, we all had this in the first season, didn't we, with the lineup league, where everyone was getting the same team every week because we knew. I think she has to be a bit experimental because City are the favourites. On paper, it looks like City will get 3 points. So if we just play our standard team, are we good enough to win? At the moment, no. So I think the change-up it'll be brave, but it's something I think needs doing. If we do get beat changing it, at least you give it a go. At least something happened. If we play the same thing and get beat 3-0, people are saying, well, why didn't you change it up? So, I mean, it's difficult. It really is. I'm only saying 3 at the back because of City's attack and what they can do, and the fact we could be able to have 3 centre backs in a way. But yeah, I wouldn't want to choose. It'd be like you say, it's why you're getting paid the big bucks and having a new kitchen.
Yeah, and a bathroom on the club sponsor as well. John says he's coming around to Ian's way of thinking with 3 at the back. I know that was Dave's, certainly Dave's idea. Jake, we can't be too predictable. Well, yeah, there is that. Fiona, we need Leah pushing forward, and half time. Oh no, Arsenal should be 2 or 3 up, but they're not. It's 0-0. Talking about lineup league, change it because City are expecting our normal lineup. I have to say, this season has been more of a challenge for lineup. We've put a team in every week, Dave. Those of us who invented last year, like you say, it was incredibly predictable. We knew the formation, we knew the team. This year, and I go back to that very first game against Chelsea when Casey surprised us all by benching Jackie in order to have somebody to bring on. And that was the most outlandish thing we could have expected from Casey at the time. It seemed so out of character from what had gone before. So, yeah, she has shown us more change in the team. So, are you expecting any? I don't know. I keep thinking there's going to be a curveball on Friday, but then I also think maybe that curveball will be dictated by who's fit. Dave, are you expecting anything really outlandish?
If Jess plays, that'll be the curveball because when's the last time she started a game? I can't really think. It's been a while. Yeah, can't think. Okay. But we haven't got anyone really to change it up too much because of the injuries.
Yeah, throughout the season we've been hit hard by injuries. Casey's really having to improvise. Ian, are you expecting anything out of the ordinary?
It's so hard with Casey. You just don't know sometimes with her. She pulls out, that thing with Jackie on the first game of the season. She shocked us at Southport that night in the Conti Cup. In our first season when we saw the team news, we thought, what is this? Nobody predicted this. Yeah. But we are limited on what she can do. It would not surprise me if Jackie ends up on the bench or a Tooney ends up on the bench, someone like that ends up on the bench, to have something in reserve. The issue I have, if we do that, we've got to use them, because one thing we didn't do on Sunday is, why are you bringing on Ivana Fuso in the 87th minute?
Yes.
Surely she should have been on as soon as we were 2-0 down to try and rescue the game. Why did we wait so long to bring on an attacking player? It made no sense. So if we're going to do something like that and have someone in reserve, We've got to use them, and we've got to use them at the right time, rather than, as I said, we needed goals, yet we had a striker on the bench we didn't bring on until it was too late.
If there's one thing that the one club ethos seems to be in keeping with, it's that both Casey and Ollie make their subs a little too late at times. Jake, where was it? Right, John Fry, he's got the curveball. Jane Ross is going to start and score a trick. Iain, come on now. You know what's got to happen. To which Jake says, that's an insight into his dreams. But also, you did make Jake a happy man because you mentioned his favourite place in the world, Southport.
That would be a real curveball. If that happens...
Hang on. This is Jane Ross against her former club, one of them. Come on, Iain, she could be fired up.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? But
you would like to think so, but we've not seen her since. Well, I can't remember.
We've got injuries, Iain. Come on, against a good club. Get your money ready. John Fry knew it'd make you laugh. Just saying. Just saying.
But I will be the first one to be over the moon for Jane if that happens, and then she can go into Scotland.
Iain, you have to give Jake £20. We'll be quicker to be excited than you. Trust me. I think we'd have to have a ceremonial handing over. Somehow.
Listen, if she scores a winner, I'll be more than happy to give Jake £20. What we're waiting for is the Jane Ross from the warm up in Norway.
Oh,
we're waiting for that. We're waiting for that Jane Ross to turn up, and maybe this is the place for it to happen.
Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it.
It's been 2 years. Is it 2 years now since we were there?
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, and she's been building it up, and
this is it. You reckon this is the moment she's been waiting her entire United career for, Dave?
Well, she did it. Like I say, before the game, she looked. Yeah. She did it. She looked great, chipping people, scoring. I'm like, God, this is the striker we all want.
I missed this.
And
you were at the Only you weren't at the training session. Sorry.
No, not the training. No, not the training. At the match. It was at the match. The shooting practice before the Vålerenga game. Is it Vålerenga?
I was stuck in the office. I had to pull out, didn't I? So,
if not Jane Ross, let me run this one by you. 1-0 Martha Harris. Yeah, I think we've more chance of scoring. Martha or Jackie, and Martha's injured. Martha. Oh boy. I think whatever happens on Friday. Sorry, Iain.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
I think whatever happens on Friday, coming off that performance and that result last week, we just want to see the team perform. And I think that we've not necessarily seen a 90-minute performance. We joked about second half FC, but that's as a sign that we've just not put a solid 90 minutes together. And we're going to need something close to that to get something out of the game on Friday. So, yeah, let's just hope the girls do us proud. And I'm sure they will. And I'm sure that we'll all have a laugh and a chat about what's come after it. But then we go into one of our favourite times of the season and a lovely international break. So we'll just twiddle our thumbs and curse internationals. Although some people like them, don't they, Dave?
Yeah, I don't mind them. Yeah. Got to see Ella Toon, in a proper match for England, scoring a goal. What can the worst that can happen out of it? Come back to United, all motivated. If
only. John Fry's motivated to come out with that prediction, and that's cautious. 10-0. Jake, getting excited for internationals.
It's a shame because England versus Northern Ireland. He gets God Save the Queen twice.
Jake's excited. Yeah, all right. And I'm just going to have a self-indulgent moment here. Jonathan's given me the in. Happy anniversary, Mark. We're coming up to an hour. So, Iain, Dave, Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Thank you to everybody who's watched and anybody who's commented. Always say we need the comments to keep things going. So thank you very much. I think Mark's back next week. I'm back at you. Cheers. John Fry's actually brought his cautious prediction down. They'll take a 1-1. I think we all will. Let's hope we're celebrating one way or another, taking something from that match. Gentlemen, thank you very much for this evening. Look after yourselves. Keep well. Thank you to everybody for watching, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.